majority here said is that for-profit, closely held, family-owned, basically, corporations can claim religious freedom. The corporation itself can have religious freedom in order to opt out of the Obamacare mandate that they provide employees with contraceptives that they believe violate their religious conscience, the morning after pill, Plan B, Ella, that they believe are equivalent to abortion.
That all happened inside the Beltway earlier today. Time to go inside that land. That's right. Mere mortals fear to tread what happens inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C. Let us welcome in from the Washington Times columnist Jennifer Harper joins us today. Jennifer, thanks so much for being here.
It's good to be with you.
What has been the reaction then? Let's go ahead and just take SCOTUS right on the first step here from the two decisions that they made today and some of the scuttlebutt rolling around inside that Beltway today.
Well, indeed, this has been just a tremendous opportunity for a giant dramatic tableau for both sides of the aisle on this decision. For among the Democrats, progressives, activists, feminists, etc., this has been a moment to sob in public. And I have seen everything from Democratic National Committee Chairman Debbie Wasserman Schultz says this is a stifling decision. Ruth Bader Ginsburg declared it was a minefield. And they began arguing about the science of it all, whether or not these medications and so forth are meant to prevent pregnancy or disrupt pregnancy. And it went down on and on. And almost instantly, Ed, this was just an instant dramatic moment. And of course, on the other side, there was lots of jubilation. This was a watershed moment. That came from the Susan B. Anthony list, or a pro-life group. And certainly Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus was not to be left out of all this. He said the fact that Americans had to bring this case in the first place to the Supreme Court reveals once again just how intrusive Obamacare is.
The things that struck me, I guess, is the Supreme Court always says that we don't want to get involved in religion. There's always been that discussion. However, they are firmly involved in it now. And this certainly, I think, does open up a tremendous amount of challenges down the road, which I'm sure they're already talking about in Washington, because if you have other medical procedures that are at odds with other very firm religious beliefs, this is a wide open door for all sorts of challenges now at all sorts of levels.
You're exactly right, Ed, because there has already been talk about what about vaccines? What about cancer treatments? And indeed, it does open the door, and I think the justices themselves were trying very hard to keep this a narrow decision. And certainly, as a lot of folks said right out on the street in front of the Supreme Court, a startling decision. The trajectory of this is going to be unpredictable, and most legal folks are saying it's going to take a while to sort out and expect all kinds of things in the future.
Jennifer, do you get the feeling that I do that while the SCOTUS decision on the Hobby Lobby Conestoga case is very big, that in many ways sort of the mainstream media and others are overlooking what happened in the Harris versus Quinn case, which basically was a big slap against public unions. And while public unions have done fairly well over the years, there's still union memberships that are dropping in many places, and unions are losing their grip here, and this is a real hard rebuke for unions now.
Yes, indeed. I think you're right in terms of the media coverage on that, and I also noticed not much of preliminary coverage going into the Hobby Lobby.
Not much of anything. It's almost as if this simply was just the stealth decision here that nobody wanted to pay attention to. But this deals with workers and wages and unions and union power. This strikes right at the heart of much of the Democratic base.
It does indeed, and it also delineates people's rights here. I mean, essentially, this was a decision based on public employees up in Illinois who may or may not agree with the giant Service Employees International Union and perhaps their political activities. And again, we have a case where the Supreme Court justices were trying to keep the scope of this fairly narrow, but quite a bit of the coverage coming out of this is that it has dealt a setback, sometimes a limited setback, it's described as, to the entire union movement today, with lots of, again, Sturm and Drang, lots of dramatics going on either side.
All right, one other thing, a couple other things actually that I caught today. Louie Gohmert, you gotta love him. I mean, the man is great for theater, if nothing else. Now he wants a bounty for anybody who can recover the missing Internal Revenue Service emails. $1 million. Jennifer, all of a sudden I can see hackers everywhere in their mother's basement all around the world right now, trying desperately to see if they can hack into government computers to see if they can find $1 million. It's just a great moment of theater.
It definitely is, and certainly the hackers are already busy down there in those basements looking for the lost emails, looking for the lost continent of Atlantis, perhaps. Who knows at this point? But the great thing about an event like this, and we see them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But these kind of things tend to engage the public in a positive way. It engages their imagination so that they actually pay attention to the issue at hand. So in this case, I think Mr. Gohmert has done us a little good turn here by engaging the public in this imaginative way.
Of course he had. He's given the media something else to talk about now. This is the soundbite that will circle the world in no time. About a minute to go here, and this is interesting. Elizabeth Warren as possibly a stealth candidate in 2016. I don't think it's any shock or any great news here that Hillary Clinton has not done exceptionally well in many corners in her pre-potential election run book tour here. But Elizabeth Warren, really? Is this seriously a shot?
Well, yes, seriously, I think something is afoot here because she is fixating on a very wonderful populist type of public persona for herself. She's getting press about being a populist. She was down in Kentucky campaigning against Mitch McConnell, and interestingly enough, her book, A Fighting Chance, was published before Hillary's book, Tough Choices, and apparently is doing pretty well. And a lot of the media folks are saying that she's biding her time and she's almost lioness-like, lurking in the tall grass, waiting for Hillary Clinton, her rival. So indeed, I think Elizabeth Warren is going to rattle the Hillary universe in no uncertain terms.
Jennifer, the lioness bit that you just did here, you have political cartoonists everywhere now rushing for the board to get started, because I think you may have started something now to just put Elizabeth Warren's head on that. That is perfect. Really, really well done. We'll have to be talking about that. Jennifer, I know that you got a whole lot to cover here. We thank you so much for taking time to join us again. Read all about it in the Washington Times. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
My pleasure.
There we go. The lioness, Elizabeth Warren. I like that. Get out some of the cartoonists here and get them drawing here. And, of course, as we mentioned, Hillary has not exactly done exceptionally well in this little pre-tour of hers. Close things out, we have some late-breaking news that we have to discuss. We'll bring that to you here momentarily. We take a break and come back on Midpoint, where we question everything.